every single day of my life. I love beach music, you know that I do. Whoa, 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 I love beach music, that old beer drinking music, shagging kind of music like you hear at OD. I love beach music. I'm talking about music by the Thames, the Clovers, the Catalinas, and Jackie Gore. I love beach music every single day of my life. I love beach music, you know that I do. People, let me tell you that I love.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. My name is Anderson Clayton. I have the honor and the privilege of serving as the Democratic Party chair for North Carolina. And just first and foremost, thank you all so much for signing up to run for office. I know that it's because each one of you care about your communities. You see what's happening right now in your own backyard, or you're someone that's also been serving for the last 2 or 4 years, and you want to make sure that you've got the opportunity to continue serving because you're doing incredible work in your community. And I'm just excited to be on here with you all. One thing that the North Carolina Democratic Party is really trying to do this year is prioritize our municipal races and make sure that we are supporting the folks that are stepping up to run at the ground level, because we know that you all are the bench to the future for the Democratic Party in North Carolina. And we want you all to make sure that you've got a feedback loop with us and understand that our staff is here to support you all in your campaigns, and also making sure that you've got the resources that you need to feel confident in running campaigns across this state. Tonight, you're going to hear a little bit from the North Carolina Democratic Party staff. But first up, we've got a bit of a Wonder Woman for you, I think, in Durham politics. Our city councilwoman, Javiera Calabero, who honestly does so much work to make sure that our immigrant communities are stood up for, but also that people across Durham know that there is someone that represents their voices in local politics and is a true fighter for the people in her communities. And so I'm going to let you all hear from her about her experiences in local office, and also how she is excited to be here with you all tonight. So thank you, Councilwoman, for making time to be with us. I know that you could be doing 17 million other things right now, and we're grateful to have you on here with us.
Thanks so much, Anderson. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, y'all. Good to be here with you. I recognize some names in this Zoom. So thankful and grateful for you for stepping up to vote. What we often say is local government is the closest to the people, right? We are the government that's closest to the folks. You're going to run into people in your community at Costco or Sam's Club or your kid's soccer game or wherever. It's the plus and minus is that you can be found. And so, as a council member, I've been on the Durham City Council since 2018. I filled out the rest of then Mayor Schul's, he had been elected mayor, then council member Steve Schul, my forever mayor in Durham. He was the first mayor I served under, and then ran in 2019 and again in 2023. So at this point, I'm one of the vets on my council. I was first elected basically when I was 40, and now I'm 47. And when my term is up, I will be turning 50. So by the end of it all, it'll be 10 years in public service, which is a sizable amount of my life. I am the first Latina elected in Durham, and one of the first and only still, unfortunately, in the state of North Carolina. That is something that I know the Democratic Party is working really diligently on, especially in this moment with a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment. How does the Democratic Party stand and defend its immigrants, and how do we get more immigrants to run for office, because they provide a unique lens to their communities and access. So Durham, I understand, is real different than maybe some of your communities. We are the bluest dot in North Carolina. We show up. We are the reason Governor Cooper was Governor Cooper in 2016, and delighted that he is running again. My experience is real different than many of you, because in Durham in particular, there's a lot of local PACs that sway a lot. That's a little different than many of your contexts. And I'm just so happy that the Dem Party is providing that infrastructure. It can be really daunting and overwhelming to step up and say, hey, I want to serve my community today. But it can be done. And to Anderson's point, we are critically important to, and the Republicans have done a really good job at this. They run folks, school boards, city council races, town council races, county commissioners. Then those people get built up to run for General Assembly. and then Congress or other federal level offices, and we have to do the same. So it's really important that you get the training that you need, that you build out your team and the capacity. Really get somebody, a campaign manager and a treasurer, and you can pretty much do anything you need to do. You don't need to spend a ton of money on a lot of staff. I know there's a lot of temptation to, I need a comms person, or I need this, or I need that. Really, if you've got a competent treasurer and you've got a good campaign manager, you will be perfectly fine. I've run many campaigns on just that. And I believe in y'all. I think that it's great that there's so many folks who stepped up to run locally, and I hope to see you. If you run and win, there is an organization that I'm a part of called Local Progress. We are the only national organization for local elected leaders who identify as progressive. So happy to connect with you, hopefully, if you win in November.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman, for being on here tonight and taking some time to talk with our folks. And obviously, she's right. The closer that you get to the bottom of the ballot, the closer that you're going to get to your front door. And you all realize that from the moment that you stepped up and signed up to run for office. And I know that maybe some of you on this call never saw yourselves running for office. That definitely means that you should be the ones doing it right now. And I don't think there's anybody better to talk to you all about that than our second vice chair, Dr. Kimberly Hardy, who's stepping up herself this year to run for office. So, Dr. Hardy, if you want to take it away.
Thanks, Anderson, and hello, everybody. There are 84 people in this room and growing, and that is so exciting. I'm very glad to see all of you. I know that running for office can be very daunting. I've done it before, I'm doing it again, but you guys are doing the local level of leadership. This is where we build the bench for the leaders who will go on to lead across North Carolina going forward. But this local level of leadership is so very important, but it can also, like the councilwoman said, be a little bit daunting. And so what it's going to take is perseverance. I know it feels like it's so far away, but it'll be here before you know it. And you're going to need somebody to keep you going on the days that don't go very well. And they will come, but just know that you are not doing this by yourself. What you're doing is giving people in your district hope. Believe it or not, it really does help the entire ballot when local Democrats are on there, because it's people that they know, people that they trust, and like she said, that they see at the grocery store, that they see at their kids' soccer game. And so what you're doing is you're giving people an opportunity to have a voice, and you're giving them a reason to hope for something to get better at their local community, and then eventually state and national office might be in your future as well. And you're not in this alone. Just like Chair Clayton said, we have so many resources and supports for all of you who are running, and we can't wait to give you access to all of that so you can run the strongest campaign possible. We are here for us if you need us, any kind of support that you need. And trust me, this is a very valuable experience, because what you're doing is also building your own skills. You can be a little shy, maybe. This will help you get outside of that shell to talk to folks. A little reluctant to ask folks to make a contribution to the campaign. Tell them that they are investing in the future of your local community. So if you need us, we are here. We're so grateful to have you all step up. Thank you very much. And I'll turn it back to Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hardy. And also now here to talk to you all a little bit about the services that we're going to offer this year is our first vice chair, Jonah Garson.
Everyone stepping up or running again this year, you will find that the party is in a place now to offer more services to local candidates than it ever has before. Again, why are we doing this as a Democratic Party? Why do we see this as our business? Number one, probably most important, is at a time when the federal government is failing us, when Republican leadership on Jones Street is failing us and failing our communities. Local leadership is what's keeping communities safe. That's it. Okay, that's reason number one. Reason number two, we're building the bench. Reason number three, we are creating the electorate for 2026 and 2028 when we get people to go out and vote on local issues. Okay, that's the why. We have an organization that has put together a package of resources for all candidates. I'm going to go through that package of free resources right now. Number one, every candidate gets candidate training through our candidate training cycle. You will hear more about that in a second from Christy Boer, our training director. She will go through what trainings we have already available, already recorded, and what trainings we have planned for the rest of this year. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, we are one of only a few states in the country that gives the voter file for free, Vote Builder, to our local candidates. Okay, we are very, very proud of being in a position to do that. When people give money to the party, that is in part what it is for. And what we say here at the party is we create our own data by going out and doing the hard work of talking to voters. You are helping create better data for all the campaigns going forward. Honestly, it's one of the reasons why we give you Vote Builder for free. Okay, obviously part of training, we will teach you how to use the voter file, which has information on all of the voters in your district, including those who are the ones who are most likely to show up for a local elections. All right. Number three, we have every single Monday at 1 p.m. an office hour with a bunch of staff just for you all to answer questions that you or your campaign staff might have. Maybe you don't even have a campaign manager yet, and you need some basic blocking and tackling nuts and bolts questions answered. Mondays at 1 p.m. Okay, we got you. And obviously, we'll share that link in the chat and we'll share the link in the wrap up email on this call. We will also help you with targeting, with figuring out what voters you should be talking to. Okay. And we're going to actually give you, when we set up Vote Builder for you, we're going to give you some lists to automatically pull from that you don't even need to set up yourselves. All right, so why is this all important? Why is this package of resources all important? It's because you all probably know in the races that you all are running, they're often won by just a handful of votes. Okay. And so going out and doing direct voter contact, which we know to be the most effective way in North Carolina and everywhere for persuading voters to vote and persuading voters to vote a certain way, we know that these races are going to be won or lost by just a handful of votes, and you need to know how to use these tools that we're extending to you. And we're seriously committed to showing up for you, irrespective of whether you have campaign staff or not. Okay, so that is an overview, 10,000 feet of the resources we're extending to you for free. And remember, if you're feeling disoriented or if you are forgetting any of the things that I'm saying or we're going over in this call, let every Monday at 1 p.m. be your check-in point to get your head on straight. Okay? All right, Madam Chair, back it over to you.
Thank you, Jonah. And also, we're going to do a wrap up email after this so that folks will feel confident about getting every bit of the resources and also contact information for folks within the NCDP as well. We have about 86 of you on this call here tonight. We had over 1,100 North Carolina Democrats step up and run for office this year. For context, that's out of about the 1,600 races that we have across the state. We had more people sign up and run this year than we did in 2023, which means that we're moving in a good direction, I think, for the ability to be able to contest races down the ballot. But we also know that we've got to step up as a party and being able to support you all with the training that you need to do these jobs and to run these campaigns in the most effective way. And I'm really excited to introduce you all to our training director, Christy Boer, who's done some fantastic trainings across the state, but also is here to help you all out this year. So, Christy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Anderson. I see a lot of familiar names and faces in this session. I'm trying to do some fancy stuff on Zoom, and I'm not doing a real good job, so I'm going to try to focus here. But if you've attended any of the candidate trainings yet, you probably know I talk about a lot. I have been a candidate, I have been a campaign manager, and it wasn't in North Carolina, and I didn't get anything from my state party. I didn't get any support from my county party, really. So it's so important to me, and I'm so pleased to be able to offer all of these resources to people who are running for election this year. So the training series, it did start recently. We have so far done a training on developing your strategic plan, fundraising and budgeting. If you did not make those two sessions, they have been recorded, and you can reach out and I will forward that recording and the supporting resources to you. Someone will probably put my email in the chat. I'll also be emailing a follow-up tomorrow. So we've done strategy and fundraising. Coming up next is communications, then field organizing, digital and social media. And then mid-September, we're going to talk about Get Out the Vote, GOTV, which is that really intense into the campaign period where you're going to be talking to as many voters as possible as you get close to Election Day. Those are the core trainings that I encourage you to attend if you can. I also know candidates are very busy. So if you want to watch the recordings later on YouTube and put me at 1.5 speed because you can't make it to the session, that's cool too. But I think that you'll pick up some tips and information along the way. I'm also sharing after each training session how to turn all the information that's going on in your head about how you want to run your campaign, how to turn that into a strategic plan and put it on paper. There are some additional, trainings in addition to that core group. So if you attended the session on building your strategy, we talked about developing your win number or your vote goal. That is going to be a full session coming up here on August 6th. Also, a session on how to build your donor list so you can raise money to fund your campaign, and developing your campaign message. Those 3 trainings, we're really happy to partner with the National Democratic Training Committee on those sessions. Jonah mentioned that one of the resources we're making available to every candidate running for office this year is Vote Builder. Vote Builder is the very powerful database that is used by Democrats all over the country to contact voters. This is the voter roll. So you don't have to buy that from your county board of elections. We will provide that to you for free. And there's also training available to teach you how to make the most of this Vote Builder resource. I know when I was running for office, I had to buy this myself. And for my city council race with like 8,000 voters, it cost me about $900. So there's a real cash value in us providing this resource to you, and I hope you will take us up on it. If you're running for office, the 3 sessions on the left are the ones that I think will be the most helpful for you, for your campaign manager if you have one. If you have a friend who's pitching in and helping you out, please join us for those training sessions. And then I mentioned that I have recordings of all of the videos that for all the training sessions I've done. This is a snapshot of what the YouTube playlist looks like. We will share the link so that you can access that, so you can go see any of these trainings anytime you need to. And Jonah mentioned office hours. So we'll drop the link here for the candidate office hours, Mondays at 1 o'clock. So staff representing several different departments will be there to answer questions, connect you with resources. It's also an opportunity for you to network with other candidates, commiserate a little bit, celebrate each other, and just build community there with people who are running for office. And then the other resources come at the very end for Anderson with our calls to action. So couple more things that we're going to share with you in just a couple minutes. But for now, I'm going to pass it to Kat Lawson, who is our voter protection director and can talk to you a little bit about her work supporting candidates.
Thanks, Christy. Hey, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. And just to echo what Christy has said, what Anderson has said, what everyone else has said, thank you for running, right? Municipal elections are incredibly important, not only from a democracy perspective, but also from a voter protection perspective. So for those of you who don't know, North Carolina is one of only 5 states in the country who has a year-round voter protection effort. And so I am very excited to be working with you all and supporting you all as you run this fall. So I'm going to just give you a brief overview of kind of what my office does and what resources you'll have, and then flag for you a later training with Christy where you will get information in a lot more detail. So some of the things that I do that are relevant for y'all that happen all the time, regardless of whether they're an election, are one, we have county board of election observers, folks who volunteer to go to our county boards of elections, develop relationships with them, know what's going on there, spot any potential issues before the fact. And so those are folks who are attending now, are being trained now, and who will continue attending those meetings and watching what happens with the election counting process once we actually hit the voting period. So those volunteers are around, happy to connect you all if you want to have if you have some questions about how your county board works, especially now that our county boards are all controlled by Republicans instead of Democrats for the first time in about a decade. One of the other things that we'll have is going to be our voter hotline. So the hotline is something that you will be able to put on your materials, point out to voters to answer questions about where can they vote? Where's their polling locations? What do they need to know about voter ID? That role really of educating voters and serving as a resource is one that will stand up with volunteers. At the moment, the hotline redirects to the DNC, but by the end of August, it will be staffed fully by North Carolina volunteers again. And so that's something that will be a resource both to you all, but also to the voters in your communities. Another thing that we'll have is for those of you who are in partisan races, your county party is able to appoint poll observers. And so I will be working with the county party chairs to recruit poll observers in our contested partisan races and to make sure that they are adequately trained and scheduled and put out as well. So especially for those of you who are figuring out kind of who all the people are. One thing to know is that if you want to recruit poll observers, the folks who stand inside precincts, who watch to make sure that voters have a good experience when they show up to vote, you can certainly help, and we would love your help, recruiting those folks, but their appointment process has to run through your county party. So one of the things that you will get is an actual description of what is the role of a poll observer. As you're thinking about who are the people that you want to ask for volunteers? What do you want to ask them to do? This is something that you'll be able to recruit for. And then the training and information process will all run through me and your county party. One of the other things that you all will also get, and part of this will happen at the September 22nd training session with Christy Boer that I will be at. I will be giving you guidance on what the election count process actually looks like, right? You all will be working unfailingly hard to make sure that people know your name, that they turn out, that they show up to vote. One of the things you might not be super familiar with is how those votes actually get counted and what some of the potential roadblocks along the way are. And so I will go through with you the timeline for counting, what our current laws are for how votes get counted, when they get counted, when you get to know when there have been problems, and all of that. So I'll make sure that you all are fully informed so that you are able to make sure that every single vote you turn out actually ends up in the final vote count by the end of it. And one of the other ways that we work so hard to make sure that all of those votes get counted is through a chase and cure process. So all of you will get a chase and cure toolkit and guidance on how what kind of support you can expect during that process, so that if you get to the point where the day after your election, right, you're seeing, okay, I maybe have a margin of error of 12 votes, right? Maybe I'm up or I'm down by 12 votes. And you know that there are, say, 42 provisional ballots sitting out there in your county, in your particular race. Those 42 votes might make the difference between you winning and losing. And you will have some days, either 3 days or 5 days, waiting on legislation. But you will have an opportunity to go out and talk to those voters and help them show back up to cure their ballot, to again make sure that you can either flip that margin or protect that margin, depending on what your situation is. We had local races last year. You know, we know that the top lines from last November were Justice Riggs and her battle over her 734 votes, and the work went into chasing and curing those votes. You might not have heard, though, that there were school board races like in Rowan County that were decided by about 17 votes. And that there was a chase and cure process that those candidates were equipped with as well. And so we want to make sure that you are able to defend and keep a hold of every single vote that gets cast in your race. And so that is another set of tools that will also be given to you. In general, I am always here to help give you information and guidance and answer questions about how the election process works, what you can expect with your county boards, what happens after election day. But you can also come to the September 22nd training with Christy and hear and learn all about the absolute nerdery that is making sure that votes get counted and stay counted after all of your hard work. So I look forward to working with all of you to protect the votes for you. And I will kick it, I think, to Anderson.
Thank you, Kat Lawson. Finally, we're going to introduce a section that's a little bit more about, we talked a little bit about voter or vote builders, so that's engaging field organizing, and Sarah O'Brien, our organizing director, who's also going to be part of the staff hours and everything like that on Mondays, is here with us tonight too. But there's also the coalition and community engagement in your communities, and what are the best places for you to spend your time and your energy. And so in that regard, so I know Dorian Palmer, if you would love to come on up here next, is our Community and Coalitions Engagement Director.
Howdy, folks. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, there we go.
Phenomenal. Hey, everybody. My name is Dorian Palmer. I serve as the Director of Coalition and Community Engagement here with the party. Listen, we have 21 affiliated organizations within our party, everywhere from Arab Democrats to Young Democrats and everywhere in between. Everything from college Dems and Democratic men to veterans and military families to transgender caucus. We have so many amazing affinity groups who want to support you in the work you're doing. So I'm happy to serve as a caveat to an interest to those folks. I will name them for you, and then you'll get them in the follow-up email as well. We have our Arab caucus, our African American caucus, our AANHPI caucus, our Democratic men, our college Dems, our Democratic women, our disability issues caucus, our Hispanic caucus, our interfaith caucus, our Jewish Democrats, our Labor caucus, our LGBT. Also, these AirPods are killing me. They keep trying to fall out of my ear. I'm sorry. Muslim caucus, our Teen Dems, our Progressive caucus, our Rural Democrats, our Senior Democrats, our Transgender Democrats, our Veterans and Military Caucus, Military Families Caucus, as well as our Young Democrats. So if any of our affiliated organizations can help, I'm happy to be an interest to I'm happy to link each of them to you and be available to and for you. I'll drop my info in the chat, and I'll also be on office hours on Monday. My goal, like y'all's goal, is to have a better, brighter, safer, and bluer North Carolina. We can love on folks, win elections, and be in communities. So my commitment is to be with you. Thanks, y'all.
And the Interfaith Caucus is a big one. I know I saw in the chat box someone saying they'd like to be connected with them. You know, we now have a ruling from the IRS that says that you have our preachers that can endorse from our church pulpit. And so I think that that's going to be a very big organizing opportunity across the state this year for us in your communities, but also for statewide races in 26 as well. So Dorian, I know that you're a great connection with our affiliated organizations, but also Dorian is someone like myself who loves to show up. If there are events that we should be getting out to with you all, if you're scared to maybe step out there at the first time by yourself, give us a call and we're happy to do it with you. All of the officers have put their phone numbers, their contact information in the chat box. I think it's really important for all of you to understand we don't want to just be on a Zoom screen with you. We also want to be out in your districts and your neighborhoods and in the places where we're going to win this election. And that goes for our organizing team as well this year too. So I'm going to bring up next our chair of the County Chairs Association, Beth Kendall. Beth is essentially over all of the county chairs across the state and our county parties and is sort of the conduit to making sure that all of our county parties have what they need and is our representative on the officer board for them. So Beth, thanks for joining us tonight. I know that you just hopped off a flight, so I know that it has been a busy day for you, but we appreciate you.
I don't think Beth got off that airplane
She
yet.
didn't get off the flight. I knew it.
No. Okay.
Jonah.
Well, I'll run through. I will say we were sort of worried about that, but if you all are not already connected with your local county parties, I know that typically in years past that county parties have sort of not engaged in municipal elections or there's been hesitations to. We have really tried to promote amongst our county parties the ability for them to engage in municipal elections, both in the aspect of volunteer capacity and time and energy, but also just what they can for your campaigns. And so Beth is going to be a person that if you're ever having trouble with your county parties in terms of reaching out to them or getting in touch, she's a great person to make sure that you get connected with your folks. But also we are too here at the state party. And I think that Beth really wants to promote county parties as a resource to all of you as candidates. And we do too this year. So I'm happy to talk with anybody if they need about that and answer any questions about it. I know that Kim and Jonah is as well. I forgot to mention earlier, Jonah is also somebody that's run for office before. So your officers have a wealth of knowledge that I think are really helpful to local candidates this year in every way.
Anderson, there are some things that Beth sent me by email that she demanded I read in her
Oh,
absence. And so
great.
I will just very quickly go over what Beth, if she were here, would say. Number one, you want to have that local connection with your county party, even if you don't already, because the county parties are sources of local knowledge. And they're also sources of, and probably your biggest collection of, local politics nerds. This is a core part of your electorate. And if you are running for office, you really do want to engage these folks. Every county party has what's called a county executive committee made up of all the precinct leaders. And as a Democrat running for office, you're entitled to a list of all those folks, right? So you should go to make sure you're in touch for that reason. County parties also often have local trainings in addition to the great trainings that Christie is putting together and has provided. Number three, county parties might be able to help you with volunteers and voter turnout and outreach. Now, every situation for local office is different. Some of you are running in contested races against other Democrats. That's going to limit what sort of support the Democratic Party will be able to provide in the first instance. But you should always make sure to check in with your county party no matter what. Finally, they can be a source of support and morale boosts, maybe some free food, free pizza, and they can be also a good platform. Often, county parties during the summertime will be having social events, and while the social event might not be about you, you can certainly go there as a Democrat and use that time to network in a room that you yourself did not build. So, can be very, very useful. Beth wanted me to remind folks that sometimes county party leadership gets very busy. They might not be able to immediately respond to your communications, extend grace, extend patience. They're doing a lot. And if you get really stuck, talk to Beth. Talk to Beth Kendall, the chair of the chairs. Okay. So that's what she sent me to read. Back to you, Chair Clayton.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. I was gonna say thank you so much, Jonah, and thank you for all of our folks on here tonight and all of our staff that are on here too. Right now, we really want to open it up for questions from you all. If you have got any in the chat box immediately, if there are things that are missing right now that you're like, well, what about X, Y, or Z? And so that we can make sure that we are giving any resources that we haven't already tonight to make sure that you all feel confident in leaving this Zoom. And also, we're going to make sure that these are continually happening throughout the next few months as we go through September, October, and November when we have elections in 3 different months this year for depending on where you are across the state. So always exciting and always energizing. But what questions do you all have, if any, right now? I know we just threw a lot of information out at you. I fully understand that too. So the overwhelming feelings may be there. But I think that that's also really important. And yes, I will put my contact information in the chat box right now. And staff, have I forgotten anything or anything that you all want to highlight too? Feel free to hop off mute if you would like to. Or officers, if I forgot anything already this evening.
I just dropped a couple links in the chat, including links that go directly to the upcoming trainings. Also, the North Carolina Democratic Party, we recently got a Discord server, and I'm personally still learning it, but we do have a channel for candidates. I dropped the link for that in the chat, and there's a thread where you can say like, hey, I'm a candidate, add me to the channel. Just make sure that if your username on Discord is not your actual name, we'll need your name. We just want to verify that we're only letting Democrats into our candidate Discord. Yes.
And
So, sorry, Chair Clayton. I see the comment from Greg in the chat, and Maureen on Vote Builder. So I will send a follow-up email tomorrow to everyone who was here tonight. I will include the recording and I will include links to the resources that we've discussed, including the Vote Builder request form, um, and whatever other links we have shared. So that will come, give me about 24 hours. That'll come tomorrow. Thank you, Chair Clayton.
Sorry about that, Christy. But yeah, Greg, we will. We got you, my friend. And then Sarah, thank you for just putting in the vote builder request form for Maureen. I was going to ask, Harmon Droge is not on here tonight, but he is our fantastic data director at the state party. He also does office hours. He's got the customer service mindset, in my opinion, for helping make sure that folks understand vote builder, and in every way, shape, and form are happy to answer your questions. What other ones are in the chat box?
We don't have a very inquisitive group tonight. So, oh, that's a good one, though.
Yes, Christy Clark. So one of the things that we did sort of in the week leading up to the filing deadline was we had local candidates or our local elected officials help us do videos that ask people to run for office and help us at the last sort of week. We're going to start to do that now that you all are that we're past the filing deadline, throughout the rest, and trying to highlight specific mayor races, city council races. So if you all have no problem being on video, we would love to highlight you throughout NCDP socials and make sure that we're uplifting local races this year. And also, if there's any chances for us to come out and do press conferences with you all, if it's important to get your local media involved with that, our communications department would love to have us out there. Officers I know are happy to go, and just be present with y'all in communities to make sure that we're emphasizing that. So if you all want to do a local announcement, right, with local press, like our folks are happy to send out that announcement with my name or with any of our officers' names on it, and then also any of the speakers that you would have come in your local community too, which I think is also really helpful. Kim, I would love to do that in Iredell County. Say less about Statesville. So that could be fun. And Christy Clark too. Truly, I think that'd be awesome. And then any suggestions on how to get your names out there in local mayoral races? We have dominant local incumbents. I believe my number one principle is showing up matters. People are going to recognize folks that show up, and they're also going to recognize people that have got brand recognition. So anytime that you can do t-shirts, that you can do yard signs. I know that a lot of folks on here might disagree with me, but I'm like, yard signs and local elections to me really matter because they put your name out there early. They help show, especially if it's in somebody's yard and not on like a street corner or in a roadway somewhere. I think that it really matters because it's that public endorsement. And definitely canvassing and phone banking is going to be the biggest aspect of how do you get out there early. I know, at least in Roxborough and our city council races, they're determined by 600 votes. If you had 5 or 6 people, you could knock 600 doors 3 different times before that city council election comes up. And so I think that's how you do it. But any of our other folks on here have any thoughts or ideas on that about how to get your name out there in a mayoral race that maybe want to answer that question? Dr. Hardy or Jonah?
No, I actually think that's right. Like showing up at events, especially the ones, because Jonah spoke to this earlier, like show up at events that you didn't build. So if there is like a community day, if there's a farmer's market, if there's a carnival in the parking lot of your shopping mall, if there's going to be an event somewhere, show up there. And if you have like palm cards, the little, glossy, colorful things that have your name, 3 or 4 bullet points about your campaign's platform, and in a way for them to get in touch with you and to donate to you, do feel free to bring those out there with you and pass them around, because the more that you show up and engage in whatever the local community activities are, the more that they'll realize that you're actually a member of the community and not just a candidate.
I'll share something super specific. Your anxiety around the campaign is going to cause you to make all sorts of weird decisions about how you spend your time because you feel like you need to be in a place to see the people, even if there might be like 3 to 4 people. Make sure that you have a good campaign manager or a spouse or a friend or yourself who you check in with to be rational and reasonable about what the highest and best use of your time at any given moment actually should be. Because again, you will not be your clearest head with campaign anxiety. I see Ian grinning. Ian knows what I'm talking about.
And Councilwoman, would you like to answer that question too? Maybe about, since you're a local elected official, what were the best ways that you found to get out your name in your community, and what helped you?
Yeah, thanks. I put it in the chat. I said one thing that is helpful, at least on social media, is if you can get like community endorsements. So folks in the community, there's a small business owner that's willing to speak on your behalf or post something like, "Hey, I support so and so. I worked with them in this way, doing this community work." That's really important, I think, too, because a lot of times, I mean, I know people drive by my house and see what yard signs I have out. Like I know that for a fact because that's who they're going to vote for. And there's those people in your community too, those like I don't know enough about this race. Can you tell me more? And your opinion matters. And so if you can get some of those community endorsements out, it's really important.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. And we've also got advice for recruiting a treasurer and a campaign manager. And I think Jonah answered that in the chat box too. Start with your local county party. If you can't find one there after that, definitely reach out to Denise. Denise is our state party treasurer for our officer board and for the state. And she's also got some really great resources on how to find people that may be in your region. You know, your treasurer doesn't have to be right in your own backyard. It could be somebody who's a friend of yours across the state that is helping you do that on your campaign. So I think that's a good way to do it. And then any other, Jonah, Dr. Hardy, y'all have anything to add to that too?
No, it's hard. That's a hard piece, and feel free to um, come to our Mondays at 1 p.m. with specific questions about, hey, I got this lead, I'm not sure how to proceed, or maybe it can be even questions like, I don't even know what's like right to pay someone doing X, Y, or Z. And if we can't answer that, or staff can't answer that, they can also give you names and resources of folks who might be able to point you in the right direction.
I will say, with regard to when you do find these folks to work with you, make sure it's people that you have a really good, open communication relationship with, because this gets very stressful sometimes. And the closer you get to election day, the more stressful it can become. And so, you know, like Jonah said, you're going to need somebody who's clear-eyed and clear-headed, but make sure it's someone that you trust, someone that you feel comfortable following their lead. Like Anderson said, I am actually running for office right now. I'm running for Congress right now. And I do whatever my campaign manager tells me to do because I trust her so, so much. But there is also times where we might have to have difficult conversations with one another. And we need to know that we can do that without that damaging the relationship. And so, to the extent possible, make sure that you find someone that you trust who's going to be a real ally, who truly believes in you and your race and can pick you up on the yucky days and can bring you down a little bit when you get a little flighty. But somebody that you can trust and have a good open communication with is absolutely critical.
There's another question in the chat box that says, should a candidate be made to or be expected to pay for a campaign manager and a treasurer? I'll be honest with y'all. I think that sort of depends on the type of race and where you're running. You know, in races, probably in Durham, to be honest, you couldn't get away without paying one, right? And our councilwoman, I think, would tell you that. And in certain other places, I think that some of the smaller scale races where candidates are honestly not going to raise as much money for their races, we always want to pay people what they're worth here at the state party. And I think that if you can pay people, it is always appreciated, especially in the climate that we're in right now. But I also know for some of my smaller races that a lot of folks are willing to give their time and volunteer ways to be able to do that with you. I know at least in my backyard in Person County, Antoinetta Royster, who is now on our county commission there, ran our sheriff's campaign as a volunteer and for free. And she did it because she really cared about the community and was doing a lot of that work already with her day-to-day life. And so I think that there are ways to inspire people that may be already doing this work to come join your campaign if the values align with what they're doing in their communities already. But Councilwoman, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think obviously if your community is larger, I think there is very much an expectation that you're going to have to pay. And I think a smaller community that is, the more folks are going to know each other, that may not be the expectation. But if you're in a larger community, yeah, the expectation nowadays is you're going to need to pay. Sometimes a good friend can do like a volunteer coordination kind of role or something that's smaller, but campaign managers end up doing a whole bunch for you. Now everyone has different things. I do want to also say very much trust your campaign manager. There's something in like bigger communities where you have to do call time for fundraising. I never really fully liked it, but I always made sure that if my campaign manager was like, okay, 2 hours of call time today, then I did it. And that was their job, even if I was grumpy about it. So pick somebody that you are compatible with personality wise, and that you have enough like either fear or respect that when they say you've got to do a thing, you got to do a thing.
And if you're like, I didn't even know I had to have a campaign manager before you got on here, that's okay. A campaign manager is somebody that cares a lot about you and also wants to do this with you. And you're going to be surprised of how many people in your life are going to turn up to you and say, how can I help? And you need to be not afraid to ask, right? That the number one thing is that you don't get what you don't ask for. And that will be the consistent thing throughout this campaign that follows you anywhere that you go. So do not be afraid to ask people for money, their time, and their talents, because everything that they can do for you is something that you don't have to do for yourself, which is greatly appreciated. I know from people that are already doing a full-time job probably and taking care of kids or doing something else too, or taking care of your family on the side of also running for office. Each and every single one of you are doing this because you care about being a public servant, and that is never an easy thing. So thank y'all for doing it. What other questions, Christy? Have I missed any in the chat box that you've seen or?
I mean, questions are infinite.
Oh, we got a call time question. I love that. What is
I would
call
love
time,
to
first of all?
hear. Oh, I want to do that one. Go ahead, Jonah.
No, well, Christy, what is call time?
So, in the session we had on Monday, we talked about setting your budget and we talked about raising funds to pay for your expenses. So, I'll look for the link. I'll drop the YouTube link, but call time is your dedicated time to call people and ask them to invest in you, to ask them to donate in your campaign. I recommend you start with the people closest to you. My first donor was my mother, and she maxed out. My second was my mother-in-law. My third was my grandma. But that alone isn't enough, right? So I had call time. I'm going through the people on my phone who I know saying, "Hey, I'm running for office. It's a big deal. I need your help. Can you chip in?" A rule of thumb I always share that I appreciated what I heard: when you're asking people to donate, ask for a specific dollar amount. Think about how much would they spend for your birthday. Is it your rich aunt who's going to take you out to like a full-blown fancy dinner, $200? Is it your buddy from like the softball league who's going to buy you a couple of beers? Whatever that dollar amount is of what they would spend for you on your birthday, ask them to donate that amount to your campaign. That'll give you a good starting point. So I will let the officers add to that, and I'll look for the link for that training if you want to watch it.
I
Oh,
think
Sarah dropped it.
Anderson, you're great at call time. What you got for folks? What's the magic?
I think that again, you don't get what you don't ask for. And you've got to think about it as though you're not asking for yourself, you're asking for the city or the district or what you're trying to represent, right? You're asking on behalf of building a better community, and it makes you feel a lot less guilty about it because I think inherently I'm somebody who hates to owe somebody something or feel like I do. And so that oftentimes comes back into play sometimes when you're asking for money on campaigns, but you've got to reposition, I think, your thought process on it. And it can be difficult. But Jonah, Kim, what would y'all say?
Dr. Hardy wanted this question badly in the first instance. Dr.
I
Hardy, what you got?
listen, I joined the Zoom from call time. I was hurrying up to get my designated number of calls done so I could join you guys on the Zoom tonight. And tonight's number was 50. Yeah, it was 50. Last night it was 56. Like it's a lot of calls. It's a lot of calls. The good thing is the more you do it, the better you get at it. You have your notes in front of you because the good thing is you're doing it on the phone and not on Zoom, so you can have notes everywhere. And it is, I think so I'm on the board of Lillian's List, and I did a candidate training for them a long time ago. And they said that donating to a political campaign is a revolutionary act. And that changed a lot about how I understood my requests for asking for money for the campaign were. That I'm asking people to invest because this is like, it's great that you can vote for me 16 months from now, but I'm never going to make it that far if I don't have the resources to fund the campaign all the way through. And we don't like asking. If there was anything else we could do in the world to fund our campaigns, we would do it. But this is what this is. And most of the people that you will call have been called before, and they will understand that you're calling for that reason. Also, I would say a thing that I like to tell folks is when you're going to make the ask, sometimes there is an awkward silence between you asking and them responding. And the natural inclination of the candidate is to jump in and fill that space with a lesser dollar amount. And so I never do call time without a beverage beside me. Why? Because you want to be able to talk about why you'd be a really great mayor. And so that's why I'm asking Anderson, can I count on you for $250 today? It shuts you up, because what you don't want to do is talk yourself out of it. Because if she sits there and goes, I don't know, and you don't want to go, I mean, or 100, if you can do, like, don't do that. Don't talk yourself out of it. Ask for the amount, take a sip. It keeps you quiet. It gives them an opportunity to respond. Remember, they're not giving money to you. They're investing in your campaign. And so it really is okay to ask folks, this is what it takes. Don't wait to want to do call time. That never happens, but it really is a very, very important part of the fundraising process.
All right,
Jonah, what did you say?
I want to give mine, which is just that looking at the time, it's late July, right? These races like October, November are the elections. Someone once told me you get 60 to 80% of your money. What was it? You get 60%, 80% of your money from like the same 20%. Sarah, did I get that right? I don't know. It might have been Sarah who told me that. What am I trying to say? It means get started on call time immediately so you can ask that 20% for money in the next couple weeks, and then go back round to them in that first or second week of October and ask them again. Okay? Do not wait to start financing your campaign and doing call time. That's my piece.
Thank you, Jonah. I don't necessarily see any more questions in the chat box that are new. I'll give folks about 1 to 2 more minutes if you've got any other last minute burning ones. But we're going to do this again and also hopefully have more folks. I thank you so much to our fantastic councilwoman for joining us tonight. We appreciate you giving us your time and your thoughts. And what we're going to do is make sure that we have more of these in the future with folks that are already elected too, so that they can give you their experts and wisdoms. I hope that y'all will feel free to reach out to some of our already elected officials in the state. If you all would like somebody to have a mentorship with, if you're somebody that's like, I'd love to know who else is already elected in North Carolina, also feel free to reach out to us during office hours about that. Dorian Palmer, our coalitions director, is connected with so many great local candidates across the state and can definitely find folks for you to talk to, and would just be interested in engaging with you about like what did they do, because part of what we want to create here in this space is a web of you being able to also take ideas from other folks and sharing resources with each other, because we know that that's also what's going to power us through the next few months. And so I'm just grateful again. Thank you all so much for stepping up to run for office. We're also going to send out sort of a feedback form to the NC, or to you all from the NC Dems, about resources and everything else too, just because we want to constantly be collecting feedback about what can we be doing better to help you all. I know that these are going to be rough campaigns because it's long and it's grueling work, but I also know they're going to be really rewarding campaigns when we're able to see so many good victories in this cycle, to make sure that all of you and your communities have better representation in them, because you are better people that are getting involved with politics. So thank y'all for doing it. And officers, do y'all have any final last minute words before we go off of here tonight?
I'm grateful for all of the veteran local leaders who are here. I see Mayor Daryl Moss, who I know is stepping up to run again for local office. I see Mayor Christy Clark. We are a party replete with local leaders who do not get sometimes the spotlight and the platform that they deserve. We're going to be creating it. We're going to be reorienting our Democratic Party around local work. It means so much to us, and we thank all of you for being here.
Absolutely. You guys are not doing this alone. It's awesome what you're doing, but it's awesomely too big to try to do by yourself. So please take advantage of the resources. We are here to help you. You guys have got this.
Thanks, everybody. Bye, y'all. Have a good night, and we'll send you a follow-up email tomorrow.